We are back. I'm Justin with Is It Scary Wisconsin, joined by my best friend Gage, and this is one of our most favorite series to do on this channel, reviewing reviews. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we're taking a look at Terror Shed, a very spirited home haunt in Kewaskum, Wisconsin. Now, we got some spicy ones tonight.
We do have some spicy ones.
You ready to do this, Gage?
You know, I don't get how you can be spicy with a family home haunt like this, but I guess we're going to find out.
You know, and as always, guys, when we talk about reviewing reviews like this, we want to make sure you guys understand, right? We're just kind of going and taking a look and saying, if you're going to give a 1-star, 2-star, I guess 3-star, maybe you can get away with being like, it was a good time and giving a 3-star score. But I guess if you're going to give a 1 or a 2-star score for a haunted attraction review, to me, you better be ready to defend it and at least give some details on it and not just 1 star. This sucked.
It sucked.
Okay. So
that's an opinion.
Let's jump right in and see what Billy's got to say. Billy says we arrived at 7:45 and were told it would be an hour. Didn't get in until 10:15. The maze was long, but not that good. Definitely not worth the wait.
A year ago.
Yeah. That's
a maze?
You know, well, that would probably just be the
entire haunt?
Yeah, probably just be the entire haunt. You know, there's a lot that goes into the Terror Shed, and as somebody that was there this past year, I mean, what do we pay? $13 a ticket, I think it was?
I don't remember, but I do know it's cheap.
I vaguely remember it being a cheaper ticket price. So, right... I can see, because you know the way they do it, they give you plenty of time so you don't catch other groups in the Terror Shed. I think we waited probably 15 or... We were group number 3. We got there right at open. And I think we waited 15 or 20 minutes when we got up to the house. We were like one group back, and there was somebody in there when we got up there.
I want to note something. It can be cheaper. It's a $15 general admission, but
Okay.
$10 if you donate 5 non-perishable unexpired food items.
10 if you donate food items. Yeah. That's right. Okay, so it was in that $15 range. Okay, yeah. You know, I understand Billy's frustration, right? I'm going to first talk as a human being. I understand Billy's frustration. If you're going out to a haunted attraction, right? Especially if you pull in and you see a lot of people there, which if you're waiting 3 hours at a haunt, which is, you know, like 2.5 hours in this case, if you're waiting that long at a haunted attraction, chances are you can clearly see that there's people there. You either get Fast Pass and go ahead of everybody else. I don't know if they have one there or not. I'm just speaking in general.
So they do.
They do. So then
I'm correct.
Right.
Yep.
So in that case, you would get the Fast Pass. And you would just say, hey, you know, I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know how long I'll have to wait. You know, even, you know, you got to remember, people are guessing anyway. But again, we say this a lot. Either pay the money for the Fast Pass, or you can say, screw it, throw caution to the wind, I'll wait in line, and then whether you wait an hour or 2 hours, that's on you. And I can't pretend to feel bad for you, because as somebody who went in 2024, I can tell you the $15 ticket price was definitely, the haunt was great. It was actually one of my favorite shows of the year.
This review is definitely not warranted. It doesn't. You can rectify this situation by buying that Fast Pass ticket.
Yep.
So if you cannot buy this Fast Pass ticket and you're upset about that wait, you got to eat your own words.
Yeah,
this shouldn't. Like these are the kind of reviews that and these are because we set up this last year. I had a bone to pick with people who complained about line speed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, if you're going to complain about line speed, then go buy the damn Fast Pass. You know, like it's there for a reason.
Yep, absolutely.
And if you can't afford it, then maybe don't go if you're going to be upset about it.
Yeah,
or go early.
Rectify it. Or you just have to know, hey, I'm going to be waiting, and that's just the way it's going to be. And I think some of the frustration here might be because they said it would be an hour, and it ended up being, you know, like an extra hour and 25 minutes.
And we're human. That happens, you know. Like
Yep.
you got to understand. So
It does. It does. Absolutely.
that should be at least a 2-star or
Two.
3-star review
Yeah.
if you ask
Yeah.
me.
I could
But
see the.
whatever.
I could see the frustration. Again, if you're concerned about weight, get Fast Pass. Let's look at it. Let's
Great.
see what Josh has to say. Apparently, they don't take debit or credit cards. Actually, there's plenty of haunts that don't. There's a lot of haunts that are offering that online ticketing now. You know, like Revenge and Green Bay Fear and Terror on the Fox do that. But I know Terror on the Fox takes it on site. But like Revenge and Green Bay Fear, to my knowledge, don't take card on site. Like you need to buy your tickets online, show them on the phone, have them scan it or whatever. So maybe they should mention this on the website. That I agree with. That may have been rectified. They may have changed that for this year, but that I do agree with. If you are a cash only haunted attraction, I highly recommend that you put that in your on your website, on your advertisements. Tons of people left because in 2023 not many people carry cash. That to me is dumb. I don't subscribe to that. That's your problem, not the haunts. Horrible experience, will not return. Maybe invest in an ATM. Why? Quick Trip already killed that business. Also, no ATM or bank nearby. That is another thing I'll also say. I will say that's another thing I do kind of understand, because this haunt is literally in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, I get that. I understand, but how is that their fault? At least the last part, you know?
It's not, right? It's not their fault, but I understand the frustration with that, right? Because it's like, oh, I got to go get cash. And then you're like, well, there's no place to do it, right?
Can I offer advice? If we have the haunt owners watching us, is it possible they can do like a PayPal Venmo thing
Oh,
for people who,
I'm sure they
you know,
could. Yeah, I'm sure they
just to
could.
kind of rectify this situation? That's how I'd handle it. I don't know how all that works. It's something that popped up.
Well, the way I would rectify this is to take crypto. I'm just kidding. The way I would rectify this, it's coming with sooner than you think.
Oh my goodness, Justin, is it scary coin?
No. The way I see it is, if it's not advertised on the website, it should be. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it should be if it isn't. Let's see what Kim's got to say. What? Go ahead. No,
I was just about to say, I looked everywhere. I was looking while you were explaining it. I cannot find it anywhere. So, all right, moving on to
see
Kim.
What Kim's got to say. It was okay. It's going for a good cause, so that was cool. Definitely, I'd rate it 2 stars. It was very hard to maneuver around, and a few dips in the floor could cause someone to get hurt, so you don't want that. Price said $10 and it was $15. Seriously, not worth. It was seriously only worth $10. Well, it actually, Kim, if you read the website, it said 10 with donations or $15. It did say that. I do understand the gripe about the floor, and I think we pointed that out too. We said that there were a few of the, where you kind of like dip down and stuff. I think we did talk.
We're not talking about the outside area, are we? We're talking about inside.
We're talking about inside the haunt. There were a few like where like the wood was raised just a little bit. Some of that real nitpicky stuff. But that's stuff when you're walking and shuffling and bumbling around that it's easy to mess that up. So I think I understand some of those gripes. And I think there might be some confusion with the pricing, because when people see $10 advertised, that's what they expect to pay, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason that you have so many, remember how we talk about this when we put up a sign that says Doritos 2 for $8, and it's below the Doritos, but then the Lay's chips below that are 2 for $9, or 2 for $8 on Doritos and 2 for $7 on Lay's chips, and the Lay's chips sign is down below, and then they think, oh, the Doritos are 2 for $7, right? As soon as you see that lower price, you think, oh, that's the price, because your brain tells you that's what I want to pay. I don't want to pay the $15 that I see right next to it or right above it, right? Your brain just automatically assumes that. I can understand that frustration. I can understand somebody being confused by that. I was confused by that at the start when I first looked. But then I looked back and I was like, oh, yeah, $10 with the food donation. Okay, Mm-hmm. So I could understand that. I can understand that frustration, sure, for sure. See what Molly has to say. Impressive that this was made by teenagers and their money is going for a good cause. However, found it very difficult to walk through, and there were multiple tripping hazards that were not lit up due to it being extremely dark inside. Would not recommend if you're taller than 6 foot. The website as well said $10 admission, and then it was $15. Overall, not horrible. Just needs some improvements. That's an okay review. I don't think that's a bad review.
And it's fair, too.
Yeah.
It's descriptive.
Yeah.
They talk about why they feel like it wasn't deserving of the 5.
You know, we look at so many different haunt reviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we review haunts. This is
We're so cool, man. We're big dogs.
We're so cringe. This is gonna sound like it's obvious. Most people don't review haunts. So when I see something that's written and articulated like this, I'm like, for the average haunt goer, this is pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is about as descriptive as it's going to get. So I definitely think the confusion over the pricing warranted the hit. And I definitely think that some of those tripping hazards, even when we were talking about that and stuff, I definitely can see where they're coming from. And I think that 3 stars there, I think that's fair. I think it's well articulated too.
That's fair. This is where I differ with you, because I feel like if you can't read the price right, get out. Like, you don't understand it. That's not their fault. You need to open your eyes and read. But I do understand that your brain sees what it wants to see. Yep. There's 2 different things. But yes, it does state clearly on there, you just got to read and use your eyes.
How many times have I told you, if the first thing you see is $10, you're like, oh, it costs $10. And then you go there like, well, it's $15. It's like, it's $10 if you bring, oh, well, what is that $10 on the website with the perishable goods? Yeah. Okay, let's see what Nicole has to say. Considering as a teenager and his friends doing this and the money goes to the food pantry, it was okay. Not sure it was worth the drive. The setup and scenes were fantastic, but it's hard to see any detail because it was too dark in those areas to really get the full effects. I'm going to touch on that in a minute. I had 0 scares because they did not have enough people and did not utilize the areas that would have made for some frightful screams. Okay. I also like this review. And I think...
Yeah. Give or take.
Yeah. So one thing I will say about haunted houses is lighting and the atmosphere is so important. If your rooms are too bright, to counter what Nicole is saying, if your rooms are too bright, you can run into a situation where you're exposing the secret of the scare and of the room, right? If the room is too bright, the actor isn't necessarily going to be scary, right? Because you can see everything very clearly. That's why most rooms in haunts, most, keyword, not all, are dimly lit and poorly lit or have some sort of vision obscuring, whether it's fog or whatever, or flickering or whatever, because it puts you in a different state, right? It forces you to kind of be like, what is that? And then when something, you're like, whoa, when something comes out, that's why it's done that way, right? So to say, well, it was too dark, it's supposed to be. Do you know when Green Bay Fear had their best scenes, their best scare scenes, was when they had the lights out in the house during those dead of winter and dead of spring events that they were holding? Remember?
It was terrifying. It was scary.
Remember that, though? Guarantee you, if those had been well-lit rooms, we would have walked out of there pissed. Telling you right now. It wouldn't have been scary at all. I can see everything perfectly. I can't pretend to think that's okay. But I think Terror Shed should take some messages from a review like this and say, okay, are there some scenes that could use a little bit more light? And are there some scenes where we need to make sure we have actors in the proper positions? Because I could see where that could also be an issue.
I want to say, I feel like, because implying that this was a year ago means that they went to the 2023 season and we went to the 2024. Yeah. I feel like they actually grew from that review, because I can distinctly remember us making that review for Terror Shed, and I gave them bonus points for the usage of lighting.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you had some rooms that sure were pitch black, but that was the point of the room. You
Yeah.
had some rooms that were very dimly lit, and then somehow you had some rooms that were bright, like that clown room, for example, shortly after that sewer room. I believe that's how the sequence went. Regardless, is that they managed light very well within the haunt. I don't know if they saw a review like that and approved upon it,
Yeah.
so I want to throw that out there. But yeah, other than that, I can't speak for what happened for the 2023 season. I can't say if Nicole was right or wrong. But what I can say is that that was a very well written review, and I'm glad that people are out there making those sorts of reviews.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna take a look at Wisconsin rip packs. So clearly here to rip some Pokemon packs.
Let's go.
Looked great, but didn't seem well executed. Would have loved to see the inside of the house, as we were 30 plus groups off being called and saw zero advancement in the line. In the 45 minutes we waited, we had to leave for work. Price is great. Going back next week and we'll submit a proper review. So, right.
What?
Yeah. So we're just going to ignore this one. But I see a review like this, and I always think to myself, why would you go if you had see this here from Amanda? This is what we call an opinion because there's nothing to back it up. But I always think to myself, I hear about these people going to reviews. Well, we had to go to work. Well, why would you go to a haunted house where you might have to wait in line before you go to work?
And then even then, wouldn't you think I should buy the fast pass because I gotta work? You know?
I always think that to myself too, and it's like, if you pull in and can clearly see a bunch of people in line, you probably shouldn't be going on regular admission.
Especially if you have to work that night.
Yeah,
like.
you probably need to have a fast pass. So a complaint like that, I really can't pretend to care about that.
Can I make a note of something in the
Yeah.
previous review that I did not? I want to say the previous review that we read also did mention that it was a long drive. That's not part of a review.
Yeah, that's
That
not
is
part of the hunt review.
Oh, boo-hoo. You know how far we drive for hunts?
Yeah.
Like that's not part of review. So sorry, I had to backtrack. I didn't throw that in there.
And to be fair, we don't even actually drive that far.
We don't. Maybe there's something to be said about accessibility, but as soon as you hit the grounds of the haunt, that's where that should play a factor. Not because, I had to drive 30 minutes south.
If you live in Chicago and decide to come up to Kewaskum, that's
and you know what you're in for.
Yeah, that's on you, right? Or if you live in Green Bay and decide to go up to Merrill for the haunted sawmill, what was that? An hour and 20, hour and 30 minute
Hour
drive?
40.
Hour and 40?
Hour 30.
Yeah.
Give or take. Yeah.
And then we get there at open, and we waited an hour in line before we even got into the grounds.
And let me ask you this: in our review,
wild.
did we mention anything about how it was such a long drive and I didn't really enjoy our time because that? No, we didn't.
No. It is those things though. I think people forget that sometimes, and it is those things sometimes that people complain about. That I think they're just annoyed, like, I drove an hour for this haunt, and I had to wait 2 hours at the haunt. Well, yeah.
That sounds like some Karen statements, if you ask me.
Like to me, as an owner, right? Like as a business owner, if I got a review like that, I would completely ignore it because it's somebody who doesn't have a sense of patience, and it's somebody who clearly thinks the world revolves around their schedule, but it does not. So
main character syndrome.
Yeah, it is main character syndrome. Let's take a look at some well-articulated reviews. Amber's got a 4-star review. This place is cheap and it's 5 cans. Be good as expensive as you would like. I say it's because this is all the local food pantry, but you could and should donate money for the lights and people working. This place was great for the first timers and other people who scare moderately. I made a review on Terror and the Fox a few weeks back, and I could say that this one was better than them when it comes to scare factor and a heck of a lot cheaper. Thank you for a great time.
I feel like that was, yeah.
Let's see what Casey's got to say. My family, or Cassie or Casey, family and I have been in the haunt industry for almost 2 decades. We traveled to check out the Christmas haunt tonight, and I was so impressed. This was a month ago, by the way. Staff was
that's right.
Staff was friendly and welcoming. A cute little concession area, parking staff on site, and a fire to warm up by. One thing I liked is the parking guy. He's so good. He was right there to show us where to go.
I remember that. Yeah, right
he was
there.
Super nice. I liked him a lot. Whoever built this haunt did a top-notch job. I have traveled to many other states to see some of the best haunts in the country, and let me tell you, the actors had me screaming louder than many of the other haunts have. Money goes to a great cause, and looking forward to any more seasonal haunts that they do in the future. Okay, let's see what Leah's got to say. We had so much fun. The crew had amazing Krampus and Christmas-themed costumes. We were definitely spooked and had an awesome time. That's what I'm talking about. Here we go, 3 months ago. This was from somebody who went to the haunt. Great experience. The wait was not bad with the fire and the outside games. Super fun atmosphere and really kind employees. During the haunted house, immediately my adrenaline was high and they kept it high all the way through. And always love the charity part of it. Definitely will be coming back next year. Now that's what I'm talking about.
I'm surprised I'm not seeing reviews. It wasn't scary. Zero stars.
This wasn't scary. I ain't afraid of nothing. You suck, Terror Shed.
So I feel like all these reviews was a great thing to touch on for this haunt because, you know, some of it I don't feel like was really warranted, but some of it did have good criticism, which I like to see.
Yeah, and it is nice to see, right? Like sometimes you just see like 1 star and then they say nothing. It's like, okay, thanks for your opinion. But, you know, if you say 1 star and you say, oh, you know, an actor was on his cell phone, I saw personal belongings in a room, I was stepped on or, you know, accidentally, you know, shoved by an actor, like that's different. That's a review. Mm-hmm. That's something I put more time and thought into. So I definitely think if Terror Shed looks at this kind of stuff, there's a difference between the reviews you should care about and the reviews you should be like, yeah, I don't care. And I think that goes for any business too, really. Mm-hmm. I'm Justin with Isn't Scary Wisconsin. Remember, there's merch links in the description. Check these bad boys out. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Is It Scary Wisconsin, where every once in a while Gage and I will have nothing better to do, so we'll post random weird things online.
Yeah, like, what about you singing Let It Go?
Let it go. Hey, I thought that was a really good one. I thought
that was hilarious.
That was actually really funny.
We have too much fun with that thing.
If the viewers have been to Terror Shed, let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you work at Terror Shed, hit us up in the comments, say hello. Like the video if you enjoy reviewing reviews, and we're going to see you all right here next time. And there's one question we need to ask.
Is it scary, Wisconsin?
Have a good night, everybody.